The Confederation delegation tours Earth's major cities over the following days, their expressions shifting between polite interest and barely concealed amusement at human achievements. In Beijing, Commander Zixtrol pauses before an ancient bronze vessel from the Shang dynasty, his four eyes narrowing as he studies the intricate patterns. This design methodology resembles Acrelian sacred geometry. He comments, mandibles clicking in what Alina recognizes as their version of discomfort. A curious coincidence. Humans have always been fascinated by mathematical patterns in art, Alina replies, watching his reaction carefully. This piece is over 3,000 years old. Your cultural database indicates Acrelian civilization began using similar patterns only 2,000 years ago. Zixtrol straightens abruptly, changing the subject. The Confederation welcomes your artistic contributions, primitive though they may be. Your species will benefit greatly from our guidance. That evening, at a reception in the newly constructed Interstellar Embassy in Geneva, Alina mingles with the alien dignitaries while quietly observing their interactions. The Veldari ambassador, a reptilian being with iridescent scales and four blinking eyes, pulls Zixtrol aside for a heated conversation Alina can't quite hear. She notes how both aliens keep glancing toward the human delegation with what appears to be concern. Dr. Marcus Williams, one of Earth's foremost archaeologists, sidles up beside her with a glass of champagne. "Have you noticed how uncomfortable they get around our museums?" he whispers. "I gave the Centauri science officer a tour of the Mesopotamian exhibits today. He nearly dropped his translator when I showed him cuneiform tablets from 3000 BCE. There's something they're not telling us," Alina agrees, sipping her drink thoughtfully. The Confederation's historical records begin approximately 150,000 years ago, yet they claim civilizations stretching back millions of years. When I asked about earlier records, they mentioned something called the forgetting and quickly changed the subject. Across the room, the Thessalian delegate, a being resembling a translucent jellyfish floating in a specially designed containment suit, approaches the display of ancient human DNA mapping. Its tentacles ripple in what the human xenobiologists have identified as extreme agitation. High Elder Vospeth has requested your presence at the Confederation capital next month, Zixtrol informs Alina, suddenly appearing at her side. This is a great honor for such a young species. Only 3 juvenile races have been granted such an audience in the past millennium. We're honored, Alina responds with a diplomatic smile that doesn't reach her eyes. Our delegation will include scientific representatives to learn from your advanced knowledge. Dr. Williams here is eager to compare archaeological methodologies. Zixtrol's upper eyes blink rapidly while his lower pair remain fixed on Alina's face. Archaeology would not be an efficient area of study for your people. The Confederation can provide summaries of galactic history appropriate for your level of development. Later that night, in her secure office beneath the embassy, Alina reviews the day's recordings with her small team of trusted advisors. They're hiding something fundamental about our place in the galaxy, she tells them, rewinding to focus on the aliens' reactions to human historical artifacts. Notice how they dismiss our interest in the past while simultaneously being disturbed by it. Dr. Sophia Rice, the team's geneticist, pulls up comparison holograms of different alien physiologies. Despite their distinct appearances, I'm finding surprising similarities in their basic genetic structures. It's as if they're all variations on a common template. Keep this research classified, Alina instructs, her expression serious. When we depart for the Confederation capital, I want samples from as many worlds as we can discreetly collect. There's a puzzle here, and I suspect humanity is a much more important piece than they're letting on. Outside the embassy windows, the first Confederation technology transfer ships descend through Earth's atmosphere, bringing appropriate technologies to help the young species join galactic society. What the aliens don't realize is that humans have already begun their own investigation into the real history of the galaxy and their true place within it. The Proxima Centauri research base hums with tension as Marcus carefully documents his findings in his personal data tablet, away from the Confederation monitoring systems. The alien scientists have grown increasingly restrictive since the discovery of the tablet with human-like script, limiting human access to certain excavation areas and installing additional security drones. "You seem troubled, Dr. Williams," observes Kirksall, a junior Centauri researcher whose 6 limbs move with liquid grace as he arranges soil samples. Unlike his superiors, Kirksall shows genuine curiosity about humans rather than condescension. The discovery should be celebrated, not hidden away. "That's exactly what bothers me," Marcus replies, keeping his voice low. "If this were merely contamination as they claim, why the increased security? Why reclassify the site as restricted access?" Kirksall's bioluminescent patches pulse in a pattern Marcus has learned indicates agreement. Many younger scientists question the orthodox historical narratives. He admits, there are inconsistencies in the records, gaps that make little sense. That evening, as the 3 moons of Proxima Centauri rise over the alien landscape, Marcus slips away from the compound during the atmospheric disturbance that temporarily blinds the security sensors. The cave system he discovered during preliminary surveys lies 5 kilometers from the main excavation, its entrance partially hidden by indigenous crystal formations that scatter scanning beams. The air grows cooler as Marcus descends, his headlamp casting shadows that dance across walls increasingly marked with deliberate patterns rather than natural formations. He recognizes elements similar to Linear A and Proto-Cuneiform scripts from Earth, alongside mathematical symbols that predate modern human notation, but follow the same logical framework. "This can't be coincidence," he whispers, recording everything with his optical implants. Technology, the Confederation believes, is merely assistive rather than capable of high-resolution documentation. The passage widens suddenly into a vast chamber that steals Marcus's breath. The domed ceiling, at least 30 meters high, depicts a star map of astonishing accuracy, showing stellar positions from approximately 200,000 years in the past. At the center stands Earth's solar system, prominently marked with a symbol resembling the ancient Egyptian Ankh. Along the walls, detailed murals show unmistakably human figures, though slightly different in proportion from modern humans, terraforming worlds, building structures, and interacting with early versions of what appear to be Confederation species. One panel shows humans genetically modifying themselves, the sequence ending with recognizable precursors to current alien races. "They were us," Marcus breathes, the implications staggering. "We didn't evolve separately, they evolved from us." A slight noise behind him causes Marcus to spin around. Kirksall stands in the entrance, his luminescence dimmed to near darkness. "I followed you," the alien admits. "My ancestors' oral histories speak of creators who came from a blue world. Our eldest traditions call them the mother species. Official doctrine declared these stories mythological 2 centuries ago." "Why hide this?" Marcus asks, gesturing to the chamber of evidence. "Power," Kirksall answers simply. "If humans are recognized as the progenitor species, the entire hierarchical structure of the Confederation, based on claimed age and superiority, would collapse." Their conversation is interrupted by the distant sound of a transport vehicle. "Security sweep," Kirksall warns. "They must have detected your absence. We must leave immediately, but first." He reaches into his environmental suit and withdraws a crystalline data storage device. "Take this. It contains restricted historical files I've collected, inconsistencies, redactions, alternative accounts that contradict official history." Marcus accepts the crystal, securing it in a hidden compartment in his boot. "This changes everything." "It changes nothing unless you can prove it to the galaxy," Kirksall counters, leading him toward a different exit tunnel. "The Elders' Council will destroy this evidence and discredit anyone who speaks of it. They've done so many times before." As they emerge from a hidden exit 2 kilometers from the primary cave entrance, the searchlights of Confederation security vessels sweep across the crystalline landscape. Kyrgyz's communication device chimes with an urgent message. Your Ambassador Chen has been asking dangerous questions in the Confederation archives, he tells Marcus. She's been recalled to Earth for diplomatic consultations, a pretext for isolation. Whatever you discover must reach her before they restrict human movement further. Marcus nods grimly, taking one last photograph of the horizon, where the alien moons illuminate the ancient landscape, a world that he now suspects humans visited long before any current civilization acknowledges. Dr. Sophia Rice stares at the simulation results floating above her workstation, the holographic DNA strands rotating slowly in the sterile air of her Eurova laboratory. Each comparison reveals another connection, another impossibility according to the Confederation's official evolutionary history. Her hands tremble slightly as she adds a 43rd alien species to the analysis matrix. Match confirmed, announces the AI assistant in its neutral voice. Krell genome contains 93% correlation with sequence Lazarus 7. Impossible, Sophia whispers, though the evidence before her eyes tells a different story. The Krell, apex predators, and military elite of the Confederation, sharing genetic markers with humans. The implications stagger her. The laboratory door slides open unexpectedly. Sophia gestures quickly to minimize the holographic display, but not before Traxinor's 4 eyes register what she's been working on. The senior biologist's purple scales flush darker, a physiological response Sophia recognizes as alarm. Your security clearance does not authorize access to Confederation genetic databases, he says, voice carefully controlled. Explain yourself, Dr. Reyes. These aren't Confederation records, she responds calmly, though her heart pounds. These are independent analyses of biological samples collected during our cultural exchange visits, standard scientific protocol. Traxinor moves closer, examining the data still partially visible. You've been analyzing junk DNA sequences, an inefficient use of resources. These non-coding regions are evolutionary debris, of no significance. On the contrary, Sophia counters, sensing an opportunity to gauge his reaction. These sequences appear dormant in humans, but active in other species, almost as if they were templates, waiting to be expressed under different environmental conditions. The Velderi scientist freezes momentarily, his secondary eyelids flickering rapidly, a stress response he cannot control. Your primitive understanding has led you to incorrect conclusions. These analyses will cease immediately. Your focus will redirect to projects approved by the Confederation Science Directorate. After Traxinor leaves, Sophia secures her private data in quantum-encrypted storage and sends a coded message to Ambassador Chen. Musical analysis complete. Batch genetic compositions contain variations present in 43 galactic symphonies. Patterns suggest common composer. Recommend urgent consultation. That evening, as Sophia prepares to transmit her full findings through the secure channel Elena established, the laboratory's security systems suddenly deactivate. The doors slide open to admit 3 figures in unmarked environmental suits, their features obscured behind reflective visors. Confederation security, announces the leader, voice distorted electronically. You are detained pending investigation for unauthorized research activities. Sophia backs toward her emergency terminal. I need to see identification. All security operations require proper authorization from Station Director Kaminsky. Human authorization is not required for Confederation priority operations, the figure responds, advancing toward her. Something about the movement strikes Sophia as wrong. Not the measured approach of security personnel, but the predatory stalking of a hunter. Her suspicions confirm when one intruder's sleeve rides up, revealing the distinctive purple scales of a Velderi arm. No Velderi serve in Europan station security. Sophia slams her hand against the emergency evacuation protocol, plunging the laboratory into darkness as backup systems activate. She dives beneath her workstation as the false security team fires stun weapons, their energy pulses illuminating the room in strobing flashes. Secure the data. Find her research. hisses a voice no longer electronically masked but distinctly Veldari. Crawling through the service access she discovered during her first week on Europa, Sophia retrieves the emergency kit hidden for precisely this scenario. The neural disruptor, technically prohibited for human use under Confederation law, feels reassuringly solid in her hand. As the intruders ransack her laboratory, Sophia makes her way through maintenance tunnels toward the station's communication hub. If she can reach the quantum entanglement transmitter, she can send her full findings directly to Elena, bypassing all Confederation monitoring systems. Behind her, alarm systems finally activate as the station's AI recognizes the unauthorized presence. Emergency bulkheads begin sealing, separating sections of the research facility. Sophia hears the Veldari intruders shouting in their native language, their plans disrupted by the station's automated defense protocols. They're not just hiding our past, she realizes as she moves through the darkened tunnels. They're terrified of it. The genetic evidence stored in her neural implants tells a story the Confederation has suppressed for millennia. That humanity didn't evolve alongside alien species, but preceded them, providing the genetic foundation from which they all diverge. The detention cell's walls shimmer with containment fields as Marcus paces its confines, 7 steps in each direction. 3 days since his capture at the Alpharat's archive, and still no formal charges. The only visitor, a Jurian legal administrator, informed him that accessing pre-Confederation records carried penalties including memory modification, a procedure the aliens considered humane, but the humans recognized as partial lobotomy. The cell door dissolves, revealing Commander Zixtrol, his blue skin dull with fatigue and his normally immaculate uniform showing signs of hasty dressing. "We have little time, Dr. Williams," he says without preamble. "Security sensors will detect my unauthorized presence in exactly 6 minutes." Marcus stares in disbelief. "You're with the Confederation military. Why help me?" "Because I've seen the evidence you discovered," Zixtrol replies, mandibles clicking rapidly. "And because my family archives contain heirlooms that support your findings, artifacts supposedly from our gods that are unmistakably human in origin." He extends a small device. "This will disable your tracker implant for 12 hours, enough time to reach the emergency transmitter in the maintenance section." "Why now?" Marcus asks, taking the device cautiously. "Because Kirixol was arrested this morning. Because the Elders' Council has ordered a communication blackout for all human settlements, effective within 24 hours. Because agents were dispatched to detain Dr. Reyes on Europa." Zixtrol's 4 eyes blink in sequence, a sign of extreme agitation. A faction within the Council believes eliminating all evidence of human origins is now the only solution, including eliminating humans who know too much. The implications chill Marcus to the bone. "This is happening faster than we anticipated. You discovered more than ancient ruins," Zixtrol says, checking a monitoring device strapped to his lower arm. "The archive's quantum crystals contain technological specifications that would immediately elevate humans beyond most Confederation species, knowledge that would confirm humanity's primacy." As the commander outlines the escape route, Marcus contemplates the fragments of information he absorbed before his capture. Star drives powered by principles humans were on the verge of discovering independently. Terraforming techniques that could transform Mars in decades rather than centuries, and most significantly, genetic engineering protocols that explained how ancient humans modified themselves to survive on alien worlds, becoming the progenitors of current galactic species. 4 minutes remaining, Zixtrol warns. "The maintenance access is coded to my biometrics. Once inside, follow the emergency lighting to junction T7. The transmitter there connects directly to the diplomatic channel. Ambassador Chen must receive your data before the communication blackout begins." "Why are you risking everything to help us?" Marcus asks as they prepare to move. Zixtrol's upper eyes close briefly, an expression Marcus recognizes as profound sadness. "My species has a genetic memory disorder the Confederation classifies as a mental illness. Throughout my life, I've experienced Dreams, visions of ancestors who look different from us, who came from a blue world. Official doctrine labels these as delusions, but now, he straightens his uniform. The truth matters more than comfortable lies, even empire-spanning ones. They move swiftly through the detention center's service corridors, avoiding the main passages where surveillance would be heaviest. Twice they freeze as patrol drones sweep past, their sensors fooled by the jamming Devik E6 trawl carries. The maintenance access looks like an ordinary wall panel until the commander presses his palm against it, causing it to shimmer and dissolve. Beyond this point, I cannot accompany you without triggering additional security protocols. The transmitter is 3 levels down, second junction from the primary coolant system. As Marcus prepares to step through, Zixtral grips his shoulder with surprising strength. When you contact Ambassador Chen, tell her to search for references to Project Diaspora in the diplomatic archives. And warn her, High Elder Vospeth has requested a private audience with her tomorrow. Such meetings rarely end well for those who question Confederation history. The panel solidifies behind Marcus as he descends into the maintenance tunnels, the precious data crystal, containing humanity's true legacy secured against his skin in a subdermal pocket. The knowledge it contains could rewrite galactic history, if he can transmit it before the Confederation silences him permanently. Belina Chen studies the quantum-encrypted data streaming across her secure terminal, each piece of evidence fitting into a mosaic more astonishing than she had imagined. The Mars colony safe house, disguised as a routine atmospheric processing station, had become the unofficial headquarters of humanity's greatest investigation. Cross-reference complete on genetic markers Alpha through Delta, Dr. Rice announces, her face gaunt from 3 days without proper sleep since her narrow escape from Europa. The correlation is undeniable. All 17 major Confederation species show human genetic sequencing as a foundation, with modifications for environmental adaptation. And the dating from the archaeological evidence confirms it. Marcus adds, his holographic presence flickering slightly due to the encryption protocols. Still in hiding within the Alpharet's archives maintenance tunnels, he's been transmitting data in compressed bursts to avoid detection. The oldest human artifacts on other worlds date back approximately 300,000 years, long before any current Confederation civilization claims to exist. Commander Zixtral, now officially declared a traitor by Confederation authorities, stands by the viewport overlooking the Martian landscape. The First Council established the doctrine of ascendancy exactly as the archives revealed, he confirms. When they rediscovered Earth 50,000 years ago and found humans had regressed technologically after the solar event, they'd made their choice, to hide their origins and declare themselves the elder species. But why? Elena asks, watching the pieces assemble into a coherent narrative on her display. Why deny their own ancestry? Pride. Control, Zixtral answers simply. The Confederation's entire power structure is built on the concept of species seniority. The oldest races govern the younger ones, oversee their development, restrict their expansion. If humans were acknowledged as the progenitor species, the true elders, the hierarchy would collapse. Dr. Rice highlights a specific genetic sequence on the display. There's something else, she says quietly, something they engineered out of themselves generations ago. The display shifts to show neural pathway comparisons, creative adaptation. Humans possess neural structures that allow rapid problem-solving in novel situations, structures deliberately suppressed in descendant species. They made themselves more specialized, Marcus observes through the holographic link. More stable, perhaps, but less adaptable. Less dangerous, Zixtral corrects. The Confederation values predictability, stability. Human adaptability represents chaos, unpredictability. Elena traces the timeline that emerges from their collected evidence. The story becomes clear. 300,000 years ago, humans achieved interstellar flight and began colonizing the galaxy. Facing an imminent solar catastrophe, they established colonies across hundreds of worlds, genetically modifying themselves to survive alien environments. When massive solar flares destroyed Earth's advanced civilization, the colonies lost contact. Over thousands of generations, these isolated human offshoots evolved into the various species of the Confederation, developing their own civilizations and forgetting their origins. When they eventually rediscovered space travel and found each other, they created a shared history, one that deliberately excluded the truth when they rediscovered primitive Earth. They've been actively suppressing human development, Elena realizes, anger building in her voice. The technological gifts they offered us, carefully selected to guide our development along controlled paths, ensuring we never independently rediscover the technologies that would reveal our true legacy. A priority alert flashes on her terminal, a message from Captain Rivera of the human diplomatic vessel Horizon *. Ambassador, Confederation vessels have established blockades around Earth and all human colonies. They're calling it a protective quarantine, after alleged discovery of a human biological threat. All communication channels except emergency diplomatic frequencies are being jammed. Elena straightens, her decision made. They're moving faster than we anticipated. Captain, prepare the Horizon * for immediate departure to the Confederation capital. Dr. Rice, encrypt all our findings on quantum storage crystals. Redundant copies. She turns to Zixtral. Commander, we need allies within the Confederation. Are there others like you? Those with genetic memory or access to ancestral records who might question the official history. More than the elders suspect, Zixtral confirms. Many younger species have creation myths involving beings from a blue world. Scientific factions have questioned inconsistencies in evolutionary records for centuries. Then it's time, Elena declares, her expression resolute. Not to seize power or demand retribution, but to restore truth. If humanity truly seeded the stars, then every species in the Confederation is our family. However distant the relation, and families shouldn't be built on lies. The vast amphitheater falls into stunned silence as Elena's evidence plays across the holographic displays. Representatives from 800 species watch historical records that contradict everything they've been taught about their origins. The central days, where Elena stands flanked by Dr. Rice and the disgraced Commander Zixtral, is surrounded by Confederation security forces whose mandibles and appendages twitch with uncertainty. This is fabrication, High Elder Vospeth finally declares, her translucent skin pulsing with angry bioluminescence. Primitive human technology cannot authenticate these records. The authentication comes from your own archives. Elena counters, gesturing to the data streams. From restricted files in the Alpharet's repository. From genetic databases your scientists have kept hidden. From archaeological evidence your excavation teams have systematically concealed. She activates the final sequence, a three-dimensional star map showing human expansion from Earth 300,000 years ago. Even from your own ancestral memories, which you've classified as mental illness to suppress. Murmurs ripple through the chamber as species after species recognize elements of their unique cultural heritage, revealed as variations of ancient human practices. A feline representative from Proxima shrieks in denial, while crystalline beings from Tau Ceti vibrate in frequencies associated with religious awe. You've violated our most sacred protocols, Vospeth accuses, her voice trembling with barely contained rage. Accessing forbidden knowledge, spreading dangerous theories. The only danger is to your power structure, Elena interrupts, her voice carrying throughout the chamber. A hierarchy built on deliberate deception. The truth is simple. Humanity doesn't come before you seeking to reclaim dominion over our children among the stars. We come seeking recognition of our shared heritage and our rightful place as equals. From the upper tiers of the amphitheater, an elderly Akrelian rises slowly, his ceremonial robes marking him as a keeper of ancestral records. I have seen these patterns in our oldest memory crystals, he announces, his voice wavering but clear. Stories we were told to disregard as myth, of the Cedars, who came from the blue world and gave us the stars. Around the chamber, other archivists and historians begin to stand, offering similar testimonies. High Elder Vospeth's shoulders slump as centuries of careful manipulation unravel before her eyes. The other council members exchange glances, some calculating, others fearful. "What you have discovered," she finally admits, her voice quavering, "challenges the founding principles of our confederation. If humans are indeed the predecessors, then your entire power structure is illegitimate," completes a new voice from the entrance to the chamber. Admiral Krell of the Draven Empire strides forward, flanked by elite guards. Unlike the other council members, his expression shows not defeat but cold calculation, which is precisely why this information must never leave this chamber. At his signal, the security forces around the perimeter activate energy barriers, sealing all exits. The holographic displays flicker and die as emergency protocols engage. The human provocation has triggered a necessary response, Krell announces to the assembly. For the security and stability of the Confederation, emergency powers are now in effect. Elena notices Zixtrol shifting subtly into a defensive posture, his lower hands moving toward concealed weapons. Dr. Rice catches her eye and nods almost imperceptibly. The backup transmission is already broadcasting on all frequencies, bypassing the chamber's security measures. "Admiral Krell." Elena addresses him calmly. "Even now, the evidence we've presented is being transmitted to every world in the Confederation. The truth about human origins, about all our origins, cannot be contained." "Perhaps not." Krell concedes with a predatory smile that reveals rows of serrated teeth. "But witnesses can be eliminated, rebellions can be crushed, and primitive species can be quarantined until proper order is restored." As his guards move toward the central dais, the amphitheater erupts in chaos. Some representatives flee toward the sealed exits, while others surge forward in protest. Through the confusion, Elena spots High Elder Vospeth watching her with an unreadable expression, not hatred or fear, but something far more complex: recognition. The battle for Saturn's rings transforms the majestic celestial landscape into a theater of desperate innovation. Human mining vessels, never designed for combat, weave through ice fragments with a dexterity that confounds Confederation tactical systems. Each ship operates independently, without central command, adapting to changing conditions in ways Admiral Krell's regimented fleet cannot predict. "Impossible," Krell hisses from the command deck of his flagship, the Inevitability *. "Their vessels lack military-grade systems. How are they evading our targeting arrays?" His tactical officer, a Veldari whose scales have paled with stress, studies the displays with 4 blinking eyes. "They're using the ice fragments as both shields and weapons, Admiral, and they're communicating through methods our jammers can't block." Across the system, Captain Maya Okafor guides her mining platform Olympus through a series of maneuvers that would stress even military vessels. The retrofitted ice drills, designed to extract water from Saturn's rings, now launch projectiles toward the Confederation blockade fleet with devastating accuracy. "Sector 17 clear," her communications officer reports. "The Confederation cruiser is retreating with significant hull damage." Maya acknowledges with a grim nod. "Tell the Prometheus team to proceed with Phase 2. She studies the tactical display, where 57 mining vessels execute a strategy no Confederation military planner would consider viable, yet it's working. Human ingenuity, freed from conventional military doctrine, has transformed industrial equipment into an unconventional force that's systematically dismantling a superior enemy. Meanwhile, aboard the Unity the diplomatic vessel that once hosted the Grand Conclave, Elena Chen coordinates the broader resistance. The ship's conference room has become an impromptu command center, with representatives from 17 species who've rejected Krell's coup gathered around a holographic display of the galaxy. "The blockade around Earth is weakening," reports Commander Zixtrol, his 4 arms manipulating the tactical display. Admiral Krell committed too many ships to Saturn after your mining fleet surprised his forward elements. And the broadcast. Elena asks Dr. Reyes, who monitors communication networks from a nearby station. Spreading faster than they can censor. Sophia confirms. The evidence of human origins is now available on 34% of Confederation worlds. Colonial systems especially are embracing the revelation. Many have long suspected their origin stories were incomplete. A Centauri diplomat, her crystalline form refracting light, in patterns that indicate excitement, approaches the central display. The scientific academies of 7 core worlds have issued statements confirming the genetic evidence. They can no longer deny the relationship between humans and other galactic species. Elena studies the strategic situation with guarded optimism. The conflict has expanded beyond a simple human issue into a galactic movement for historical truth. Across the Confederation, younger species are questioning the authority of the elder races, demanding explanations for the historical discrepancies now evident. Admiral Krell's coup is failing, Zixtroll observes. He expected a swift victory through overwhelming force, but resistance grows with each world that receives our transmission. A priority communication interrupts their discussion, a direct transmission from High Elder Vospeth, whose location has been unknown since she disappeared during the chaos at the Grand Conclave. Her translucent form materializes above the conference table. Ambassador Chen. She begins, her voice carrying the weight of millennia. What you have set in motion cannot be stopped. The truth of our shared ancestry is spreading throughout the galaxy. Then surrender Admiral Krell's forces, Elena responds. End this conflict before more lives are lost. It is not that simple, Vospeth replies, her bioluminescence pulsing with what Elena has learned to recognize as sorrow. Krell represents only the most visible resistance. Many throughout the Confederation cannot accept a reality where their species' identity, built over thousands of generations, is revealed as a derivative of humanity. We don't seek to replace their identity, Elena insists, only to expand it with the truth. Perhaps, Vospeth acknowledges. But first, you must understand why the elders made their choice after rediscovering Earth. You must learn what your ancestors did, what caused the catastrophe that necessitated the diaspora. The truth you seek has 2 edges, Ambassador, and the second may be sharper than you imagine. The Grand Conclave vessel Unity hovers in Earth orbit, its crystalline structure refracting sunlight across the planet below. Within its central chamber, representatives from all Confederation species gather for the signing of the new Galactic Charter. The room buzzes with a mixture of anticipation and lingering tension as ancient adversaries find themselves re-examining their relationships in light of shared ancestry. Elena Chen stands at the central podium, the weight of humanity's future and its newly discovered past, evident in her measured movements. Beside her, Admiral Krell, now stripped of rank and power, watches with barely concealed resentment, his presence required as part of the formal surrender of the hardliner faction. The document before us, Elena begins, her voice carrying throughout the chamber, represents not victory or defeat, but recognition. Recognition that our shared history binds us more closely than the artificial hierarchies we constructed to separate us. High Elder Vospeth, her translucent form still bearing the dignity of her former position, though she now serves as merely one representative among equals, rises to address the assembly. For 50,000 years, my ancestors perpetuated what we believed was a necessary deception. When they discovered Earth, reduced to primitive conditions after the Great Solar Event, they made a choice that echoed across millennia. The holographic display activates, showing the complete historical record recovered from the secret archives, including the final piece that Vospeth herself provided. Footage of Earth's devastation by a massive solar flare that overwhelmed even the advanced protective technology of ancient humanity. Your ancestors did not simply flee a natural disaster, Vospeth explains, her voice heavy with the admission. They were attempting to correct their most ambitious experiment, controlling the energy output of your sun to power their galactic civilization. The catastrophe resulted from humanity's quest to harness powers beyond their full understanding. Murmurs ripple through the gathering as this final truth emerges. Dr. Marcus Williams, now leading the archaeological reconstruction effort, steps forward. We've discovered confirmation in the Mars repository. Our ancestors' ambition led to disaster, but also to the greatest diaspora in galactic history, seeding the stars with modified human life that would eventually evolve into the diversity we see today. We embraced stability, continues Vospeth, because we feared repeating your mistakes. We engineered adaptability from our genetic code because we believed it led to dangerous innovation. We hid our origins because we were ashamed of our Creator's hubris. Elena absorbs this revelation with the same measured calm that carried her through the conflict. The past cannot be changed, she acknowledges, but we can learn from it without being imprisoned by it. Human adaptability and creativity, paired with the stability and caution of our descendants, offers a balance neither achieved alone. The new charter dissolves the hierarchical system of elder and younger races, replacing it with a council where representation is based on contribution rather than claimed antiquity. Special provisions establish joint scientific ventures between humans and other species, combining the intuitive problem-solving of humanity with the meticulous precision of their descendants. As the representatives step forward one by one to add their genetic signatures to the document, Dr. Reyes leans toward Elena. They're still watching us warily, she observes, waiting to see if we'll repeat our ancestors' mistakes. With good reason, Elena replies quietly. Power and knowledge always carry risk, but hiding truth for fear of its consequences creates greater dangers. She gestures toward the Earth visible through the viewport. Our ancestors reached for the stars once and stumbled. This time, we'll advance together, with the wisdom of our children to balance our ambition. The ceremony concludes as the Akrelian elder who first supported Elena's evidence at the confrontation approaches her with a ceremonial object, a crystal storage device recovered from his family's ancestral vault. This contains the earliest memories of my lineage, he explains, his mandibles clicking with emotion. The first of my kind remembers human faces, human voices, teaching us to survive on our new world. We called them gods, then ancestors, then forgot them entirely. It is time to remember properly.